Okay, welcome, Lions. We have Gary Hill that will start our dollars today. Thank you for coming.
Who's that?
Thank you, President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests. Actually, before we start accepting happy bucks,
There we go.
okay, we got a little bit of business to attend. I'm looking for past District Governor Steve, slash Secretary Steve. Now, 2 weeks ago when we were here, we inducted a whole bunch of new Lions, correct? Do you remember the number? Was there six individuals who joined?
I can't remember that far back.
Okay. Do you remember telling them they better sign their membership card or they could be fined?
I can't remember I told them that.
Oh, well, I do remember it quite well. How many were here 2 weeks ago that were inducted and now have red badges? Nobody's going to own up to that? Okay, once you're I know there's a couple back there too, so I'm going to ask you to stand for a moment, please. Okay, we'll be doing some checking in a moment, but before we actually do that, I don't want you to feel like you're being picked on or anything, so President Cindy, I would like to see your card. In fact, I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Honey, it's going to be okay.
Oh, you're talking about cards.
Oh yeah, membership cards.
Okay. Looks current to me, very current. Okay.
And sign.
Can you tell me whose signature is on that?
No. Dolly Harvey's.
Okay.
Also,
Dolly
a couple
Harvey's.
weeks ago, Lion Bob Jessen had somebody sign up on his ice cream wagon, and you could not make out the signature. I think we found the culprit. So, Dr. Dolly, you have the signature of a doctor. That's very hard, illegible.
Very consistent.
Oh, okay.
You should have said it when there's a master. How's yours, Ken? Is yours signed? Don't be taking my card. Is your card signed?
How were the ones that with the red badges?
We're in excellent shape with the new members. The older members have failed miserably, and poor Gail doesn't even have one, but it's in the works.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because
we'll be checking her soon then.
Steve's
Okay.
got a new box of crayons, so he's going to get that all set up, right, bud? Yeah, okay.
Okay. There's one more bit of business I'd like to conduct and request of you, dealing with your Lions pin. We all were presented a Lions pin, so I'm asking you to start wearing it to help build some pride in our pride of Lions here. And if you aren't wearing one, expect a fine. Now, I couldn't help but think back of a number of years ago. I've been a member for 30-some years. However, when I was a lion tamer, we used to hover around the doorway and looking for those pins, and we would get fined or be fined if you weren't wearing it. In fact, we were presenting those fines before you actually got signed in.
Oh, yeah,
We got to get moving here, Garrett.
Oh, okay.
They're
Well,
slow on the uptake, but the third time.
Got 8 minutes.
Hey!
Hey, give him a mug, would you?
well, this won't take but a moment.
Okay, let's go.
As you're walking.
Walking.
John Claypool used to, he had this microscopic Lions Club pin. And sometimes he'd wear it on his shoulders, and a couple of times it actually was found near on his fly. Okay? It kind of made me feel like a pervert for looking at his package to find the pin. Too much information. Okay, please start wearing your pin. In fact, if you wear it other than the meetings, I'll guarantee you that somebody's going to ask you, what is that pin all about? Gives you an opportunity to explain about Lions and invite someone to come to the club. Okay. Happy Bucks. How about we start at this end?
Hey, be nice.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests. Wow.
Good, huh?
So I got a buck here from that mixed dollar. It's kind of an interesting feeling sitting out here instead. So it's all good. I got a $5 bill. I think it's a sad dollar. And the only problem is I have to bring up an email or a text real quick.
Hi, Andy. Good job, Andy.
All right. Let me say this. It's from Hal Palmer, so you know it takes a long time to get that all figured out. If I can't find it, I'll just tell you. Here it is.
Who's that ugly guy?
Please announce to the club that in spite of the well wishes given to me, this is from Hal Palmer, I was not put forward as ID, International Director. Tell them that the honor they provided to me by endorsing me is humbling and appreciated. Please accept my heartfelt thanks for the spiritual, financial, and caring support. Hal. That was worthy of $5.
Anybody else at this table?
I'm thrilled. President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, I have a bunch of happy bucks here. I don't know which ones I'll remember or which ones I won't remember, but I went to the doctor this morning and had my eyes dilated. My eyes are healthy. But I got these sexy sunglasses, you know, to drive around in. And I got another, I'm potentially going to be adopted by Miss Sharon back there. She baked me a pie this week. I had for breakfast this morning, by the way. I have another happy dollar because I'm thrilled to be here. And I just have to have an extra one, so there's one. But I am proud to be part of the group, and I'm proud to see all these bright and shiny faces, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of happy bucks.
Yes, there are. Like Dolly. Like Dolly.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, just a happy dollar. Everything I believe went well during the going forward and spiritual Longview, and I've counted a lot of money, so let's spend it.
This seriously, this is like the Blue Cross tables right here.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, I got $2. One of them's a happy dollar, one of them's a sad dollar. The happy dollar is yesterday, my wife and I celebrated our 47th anniversary. And the sad dollar was I just related to Greg and Mike for 47 years.
Oh, everybody, 1, 2, 3, oh.
I'll show you who were.
Mr. Walton.
And then the marks after, they're not.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, just a couple of happy dollars. First one for everybody that did turn out for manpower to work over the 4th of July. And a second one for those of you that were chairman or ramrodding some of these deals to put forth the really, really extra effort to get all of this done. Thank you so much.
Table fine. Okay, here we go. Here we go, Mr. Wright.
Said, oh no.
Everybody knows you. Don't worry about standing up.
It was an echo.
Don't worry about standing up. We've got time constraints.
Okay, time constraints. About 4 days ago, I had a dream. President, whatever her name is. And I had a dream, and I dreamt that Mr. Patterson told me that he didn't like me anymore, and he was gonna get me. And what he did, he got some guys to fly a plane over my house and drop something. And I went out and put it in the front yard, and then I said, I'm not gonna put that in the front yard. So I moved it in the house and he hid it. And his friends came by and wanted to know where their flag was. And I told them it isn't here. Well, they went through the house and they finally found it. Yeah.
What about the dream?
Huh?
That wasn't a dream.
I want some of what he's on.
What the hell are you talking about?
Holy good God.
Well, that's the end of my
Man. It was scary enough starting off. I had a dream about Steve Patterson. Okay. There we go, Jim Ray.
That was pretty good, Pat.
Queen Lion Cindy, past Queen Lion, where'd she go? Yeah, glad you're here today. I have $2.25. $1 is because I'm happy that I went to the doctor recently and my PSA was down for the first time in 11 years. The other $1 is because my wife has a birthday this month, and the quarter is because she's not wearing her pin, and that's her birthday present.
King Lion, Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, got beers for not having a pin. Another one is for work that the parties I worked with on the at 4th. They were great. The other one is my littlest granddaughter turns 1 today. And the other one is the wonderful weekend that Mark and I spent together.
Mark and Terry had their wedding in a bathtub, so it would be a double ring ceremony.
Downhill fast.
Right down here.
Nope, not there.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, I'm happy to see 2 gentlemen up there, one a current commissioner, one a former commissioner, and both of them told me that they do the job for nothing, so we have something to look forward to. They enjoy it so much. That's worth a buck. The second buck is in Thanksgiving for the excellent job that Lion Louis Fickett did with the kids' races. I have nothing but good report. Louis, thank you. And no, I don't want the book back. The third, this is a sad dollar. My 300-yard driving up the middle of the fairway son has trouble with his foot. So he's out. My other son's having a anniversary, which I don't understand why I'd rather be doing that than go golfing with me. So my team kind of fell apart. I'm sad about that. The other 2 happy dollars are Connie and I celebrated 44 years together on July 1st. It was a good day.
Okay. Anything there? Anything there?
How much
We're
business do we
just
have?
wondering.
No.
Here comes Louis.
President Cindy, the love of my life. That's tradition now. And I want to thank everybody that helped me in the kids' race. I really appreciate their help. Thank you.
25 years. All right. While we're walking this way,
Now it
I'm gonna
starts.
thank Ryan Kevin Wasson for giving up a golf space because he was out of town and I was forced to go golfing 2 weeks ago. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Haven't got it. That's
President Cindy, fellow Lions, yes, I got 2 happy bucks.
or I guess one happy buck and one must be a fine. Say that. I just wanted to thank everybody that helped out. We had close to 300 man hours in the spirit of Longview, so that's quite a commitment from everybody. I want to especially thank Gary and Dick for helping us out most of the time, setting up, tearing down and everything. And thanks to everybody who turned out. Really appreciate it. We netted about $8,000, a little over $8,000 from the event, so decent. We're gonna figure out ways to spice it up for next year, change things around. So we'll be getting together in a couple weeks, going over that, getting some younger crowd in there and changing things. So think about it if you have some ideas. Thanks.
I saved myself some beer. Don't do that. There's my happy dog for working on the third beer garden. Unfortunately, my ankle hated me on the fourth, so I wasn't able to help at all. It was bad. It was bad. It was really bad. Hey, Johnny, Mikey, how are you?
Hello. How are you?
We have to do that.
Madam President, fellow Lions, yes. I have a happy buck because thank you for letting me work at the gate. I loved working the beer gardens. I got to see all kinds of wonderful friends. So yes for that. And this is because I'm just happy. I got out of the hospital also. I was dehydrated, so drink your water. Leave the whiskey out, but drink your water, or you'll be in there too.
Okay, Pat, you might want to wrap it up here.
Gonna try.
Okay.
Got one for Donna.
Thank you.
Today is our 25th wedding anniversary, and this is as good as it gets.
Here we go, we're coming forward. If you just want to make donations, I'll take them on the way forward. I suppose we should probably let the third VP say something. No?
Yeah.
Madam President of the City, and fellow Lions and guests.
Love your life? No.
No.
Yours is back there, never mind.
A happy dollar. I'm glad just to be here and be the third VP, and another happy dollar because the boss let me come today, and I'm going to try to make it as often as possible, but, well, here I am. So again, thanks just for letting me be here to serve.
All right, Madam President, you got anything to say? No. Really? Weird. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Running late, so. Okay, Lions. Invocation by Walt Speck. There we go. Yeah, it's written down.
Thank you for allowing us to gather here today in your presence. Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for all the wonderful help that we have had in we bless this food for our bodies, bless us for your service, and we'll give you the praise. Amen.
Amen. Flag salute, Marie.
Aye.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Song by past President Marilyn.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of thy pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Very nice. Thank you, Tail Twisters. Do we have any guests, Lion Tamer or Donna? Can we get the speaker to her, please? No. Not at all.
Madam President, fellow Lions and guests,
Thank you. And for the Sunshine Report, we're in transition. And so Dolly Harvey will be doing the Sunshine Report. So if you have any information, you can let her know. And the one information I do know is Jim Walters has been in and out of the hospital. So prayers for him. Okay. Announcements. Greg Firth.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, couple things. Number one, sign-up sheet for this Thursday night, first concert at the lake. It's going to be a very busy one, very busy. Everything, all the slots are filled. But nobody wants to do kettle corn. If I don't have any kettle corn people, I won't take the machine. Next one, it's a good announcement. This is from the 4th of July events down at the lake. Concessions, gross, $15,256.25. Excellent, excellent day. Man hours for that was 605. And I'd like to especially recognize 3 new members. Lloyd and Tammy Williams, they did a number of shifts.
Yeah.
And where's Tom Fulton?
He's a tamer now.
Okay. Oh, he's all the way back. Anyway, Tom Fulton put in quite a few hours. Good cook, did an excellent job. And we had 6 people that put 4 more shifts in. Darlene, Layton Smith, Steve and Marilyn Patterson, Jane Curtin, and Jim Stonier. Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
And to add to that, all those that helped over the Go Forth, could you please stand? All those who helped out.
Look at that. Room full of women. Holy moly.
Thank you so much for your help.
Holy moly.
Harold Malone.
President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests, this Saturday at Three Rivers is our golf tournament. We have at this time 14 teams signed up. We normally have about 17 or 18. So if there's any more teams that haven't signed up, please put them in. And we need to buy, I think it's one more volunteer to help with the watching, the whole watch on the hole-in-one contest. Otherwise, we're pretty well set. Thank you.
Nice. Darlene Mungin.
Oh, eagle eye.
Not after what he's been smoking.
Darlene Mungin.
President Cindy, President Cindy, fellow Lions and guests. I have luminary bags for relay. Relay is about a month away. I've decorated some, but you can just take them, put, whatever you want on them in memory of, squirt out, whatever. And then give them back to me, and I can get them turned in during relay time. And I do have some bags here if you'd like some. Thank you.
Great. Steve Patterson, awards.
President Cindy, Lions and Guests Awards Committee meeting. Right after this meeting over here in the general area, we'll be discussing awards for June, not July, so a little tough. Thanks.
Doug Harvey.
Thank you, President Cindy. Fellow Lions and guests, Legacy Committee. We're having one of our last projects, the Legacy Project, this Thursday. We're actually pouring the concrete patio this Thursday morning, put our Legacy bench on. So anybody that can come, at least be a spectator, and watch them spread that concrete around. Another thing is, I'm announcing as chair of the Community Screens Committee, we are going to be having a meeting in a couple of weeks. I'll give you that time. If anybody who wants to be on the committee, please come and see me. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Gary Hill.
How convenient. How convenient. Fellow Lions and guests, President Cindy.
couple months ago, I gave an update or a report about the Camp Leo project. A couple of you actually have asked me today, what's going on? Well, July the 20th, we're obligated to go up to Camp Leo near Mount Rainier and do some cleaning. I need 6 to 8 people. I got a sign-up sheet here. I actually could, if I put my back seat in my minivan, I could accommodate 6 of those people, including myself. So, but there is a map and directions how to get there. On
7 if you don't.
Flip to this sign-up sheet. So I'm going to start it going around, and this is like a good place to start. July the 20th. I'm thinking that we need to leave here about, it's a Thursday, correct? Yeah, I know Greg has mentioned that it's a Thursday concert in the park, but this is the best time that I could come up with. They have 4 sessions, so this one works the best. Plus the young lad that we're sending to camp will be attending this event. So I'm thinking we could carpool it and probably leave town about noon that day.
2.5 hours. Yeah, it takes 2.5 hours to get to the camp.
Okay, no, I have the next two.
Fine, Bill.
Okay. Bill Pontius wanted to let everybody know, thank you for all the prescription bottles, but they don't need them anymore, so you can stop bringing them. And we have a board meeting this Thursday, 7 o'clock in the morning at Bob's Cafe. Bob Paul's Cafe. And we have a speaker tonight, George Rader. You want to introduce him?
Thank you, President Cindy, fellow Lions. It's a pleasure to be your program chair for July. Actually, after 16 straight years of providing a month of programs, I thought maybe you needed a break. So I called Phil Olson. Conversation went like this. Phil, this is George. You got July. Okay. But fortunately, we don't need much introductions for today's speaker for many reasons. He did run out of time last time he was here, and you may remember Commissioner Weber was giving a history of local politics, and we know him as a commissioner, so I don't have to spend a lot of time introducing him. We also know him perhaps as a local historian and author, retired history teacher at R.A. Long. Commissioner Weber served on the Longview Council for a brief time and spent 10 years as our mayor of Longview, by far, in a way, the longest term anyone survived that post. Very clever of him. So, since I can shorten the introduction, I also told Phil I wouldn't get into personal agenda items like I do sometimes up here. But this is a pretty short introduction, so I do want to bring up just one thing. You know, last year I whined a lot about these information you don't need, you know, like the put one coin in only when you can only get one coin in, or the little packet that came in the hydraulic pressure washer that said do not eat. Not a food item, you know, who would think of eating it? But then I thought, in these times you got to think about both sides. You got to try to work collaboratively. So I thought about that a lot, and you know, probably one company prints all these things up, makes these silica gel packs, and prints them all the same. They don't know where you're going to use them, so I understand that. And with that in mind, I want a mug. My wife, I've got one. My wife had me buy a little wading pool for the grandson visiting this last weekend, and I got a little plastic thing from Ace. I got it out of the car, and I stuck to the bottom as a little thing. I'm sure it's the usual precautions about children can drown in real shallow water, be careful. And it says owner's manual. That's pretty big stuff. So I pulled it out, and there is the safety stuff, but it says wading pool assembly instructions. I'm not making this up. Assembly instructions. And I'm thinking, what can we do? We got to think of both sides here. So I'm just imagining, honey, is that pool filled up yet? Because the grandchildren are going to arrive. It's not filling up very fast. Try turning it over. You know, so that's what it is. I'm thinking that might be it. So to raise the level of this conversation quite a bit, it is my pleasure to introduce my good friend, long-term friend and colleague at times, Commissioner Dennis Weber.
Thank you.
You know, it actually is very scary to follow George, because you never know what kind of quip he's going to come up with, and he never disappoints, does he? Now, I do have to confess something. Despite Arnie's best efforts when I was a kid, I turned Rotarian. Okay? And I am shocked at this club. Checking packages, same-sex marriages, hidden buttons, and heckling revered senior citizen city statesmen. Shocking, not appropriate. What are you going to do, Tom?
What are you going to do for the old guys?
It's great to see Tom here. I haven't seen him for quite a few years. He was finance director for the city of Longview throughout my first 12 years on the city council, and did a fantastic job. During the 80s, things were not going very well in this community. The population actually declined, and the book's always balanced. We weren't able to do all the programs we wanted, but his advice was always taken. And in fact, we are still benefiting in Longview from his leadership, because his assistant, Kurt, is still the finance director, and the city continues to be well managed financially.
Look at the streets.
Look at this, well. you know when I became a commissioner, I quickly discovered in the campaign, we have two choices. We can either have really good parks and lousy streets, or we can have pretty good streets and not such good parks. That's the county option. In fact, we've gotten rid of parks because the finances are tough. It is interesting times. John, good to see you. We bump into each other every few years. And I mentioned John because I will always remember this conversation where he got in my face when I was on the city council about lights at Lions Island. And I said, we can fix that. Ernie left you the money, right? And everybody agreed, except the current city manager, who had spent much of it already, as we know about. But we worked a deal out, and we got that first set of replacement lights, the LED lights that, did I just read? They're up for replacement. City Council dipped back into Ernie Coons' funds. Yep. So that's neat to be able to look at that project and be proud that it represents such a great thing in the city of Longview. So thank you, John, for championing that on behalf of the entire in the entire club. I've spent most of my life in government service, either as an educator or in very selected offices. So we understand politically correct language. And I've heard several times distinguished Lions referring to man hours. Shocking. It's not man hours. I look out, then a third to half of you are women, right? Should be lion hours, right? Should be. Yeah. Well, if I can ask you to swipe the screen, I need another picture up there. I can't remember. Right to left. Try it.
Only go one
See which one.
You're a conservative, so we're going to go right.
Very good. There we go. So last year I talked about my early years in elected office, and I traced my early success to this woman. Beryl Robison was a county commissioner for 8 years. I helped her with her first election campaign in 1976, and during the time that she was in office, that was the last time 2 Republicans were on the county commission until a year and a half ago, or until earlier this year, when Arn joined me on the commission. Pretty interesting connection. She appointed me in 1977, she appointed me to the Cowlitz County Planning Commission. And in a strange sort of bizarre way in which life goes in circles, this morning, our regular county commission meeting was held in the same place I used to meet the County Planning Commission, in the old employee lunchroom in the administration building, because the elevator, which is even older than I am, broke down. And in order to comply with ADA rules, we had to move our meeting down. So it is pretty interesting. Beryl lives in Vancouver and is active in social service activities down there. Had a nice chat with her not too long ago. Go ahead and slide over the next picture. You might recall last year I recalled my little experience as a brand new candidate running for city council in 1977. And I was all excited. Gordon and Barbara Sonker, many of you know the Sonkers, Barbara said, I'll do your signs. You get me the paper, you buy me the paint, I'll do the screen, and that's the produce. That's the second run. The first time I bought water-soluble paint. Not such a good choice in this kind of climate. So that, I still have some of those signs around. I look to get them out and kind of reminisce. I've been at this game for 40 years, 1977 on the Planning Commission, and it actually has been a pleasure. I tell people I'm living the dream. Sometimes it's a nightmare, but most of the time it is sweet. There is a motto in my service club, Rotary, probably similar to the motto that you have, simply service above self. And I think giving public service is one of those ways that we give back to the community. I grew up in Longview. I enjoyed my childhood playing at Elks Memorial Park, swimming at the Longview YMCA, and enjoying Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and reading and school. Everything about Longview was so wonderful. It didn't take me long to realize I needed to give back, and it is addictive. Go ahead. So you have to swipe. So George will remember this guy. Anybody remember his name? Oh, it is right up there. Jack McCullough, mayor when I joined the city council. He was, I suppose, I think we used to say he was one of the good old boys at the time. And George was on the city council as kind of leader of the rebellion. At least that's how Jack referred to it. And at a certain point in time, Jack felt he was all by himself because everybody was new. These young guys. Remember those days? No. Your picture's up there. He did have good advice. In fact, I continue giving the same kind of advice, and that is, don't feel rushed into making a decision. Don't let people pressure you into making a decision right away. Always feel like you can ask for more information. You need to be able to have the time to really analyze the choices that you are confronted with. So today is one of those examples. We're grappling with the problem with the county, dealing with stormwater regulations that are going to increase the costs of people who want to build additions, anything that increases pervious surfaces where the water flows off. You're going to have an engineering plan now in order to manage that, driving the cost of development up even more than it normally is. And the thing that I was pointing out is that we also have a homelessness problem in this community, and the more you raise the cost of housing, the more you're going to impact homelessness, because there are a lot of people in our community just barely hanging on. And we're fighting with the state over that. And you may read an article tomorrow that we basically declared an emergency on housing and homelessness. We want more time. We want a chance to look at ways that perhaps we can address that in the short term for a county like ours, whose growth has been less than 0.4% per year since 1980. And we need more time. So Jack was the one that really said, take the time that you need to get the decision that is in the best interest of the citizens. There was, however, one decision that he did not like. One of many, but one that I think drove him out. And that had to do with a project on Cascade Way. I think it's the next slide. Yes. I don't know if you remember way back when, but there weren't sidewalks on Cascade Way. In fact, it was a very narrow strip of asphalt. And there was a petition drive to raise money from the residents on Cascade Way to pave that very important street. And Jack felt that everybody who lived on the side streets feeding into Cascade Way should pay as much as everybody who lived on Cascade Way. And of course, those residents didn't feel it was quite right because they weren't gaining a paved street in front of their house, but they were using it, that's true. And there was a big fight, big argument. And there was a kind of a compromise where the side street residents paid a fraction of the full amount. Very, very controversial. He voted against it. Was pretty mad that we went over his head on that one. We think that's when he decided he'd had enough. Jack McCullough. Beautiful paving job. It's been, it's great. But I do remember there was an engineer, retired engineer, Dan Weeks. Remember him? Dan Weeks lived on there, and they said, I've looked at your plans as an engineer, and he says, right where Cedar and Madrona and Cascade Way have an intersection there, that land is sliding. And if you pave it with concrete, it's going to crack, and it's going to slough down, and it's going to be nothing but a nightmare. And our engineers promised us, no, we can engineer it. Well, he was right. You can go up there today, it sags, and they've had to constantly patch it. A good lesson, sometimes we have to listen to the experts, even if they don't come across very nicely. He was pretty forceful in that. But they've continued to have to patch that street. Okay, let's do the next one. One of the things that, one of the habits I fell into as a young kid in my late 20s on the city council was the post function. And this is where the post function was held, back when it was actually a functioning hotel and lounge and restaurant. 4 of us on the council would adjourn after our city council meetings Thursday nights, and we would go over and just kind of relax and unwind and, react to the discussions, the debates, the decisions, and talk about each other and talk about city employees and leaders and all that stuff. And it was really nice. We didn't really fully appreciate the fact that there was going to be a law that made that illegal. You can't have a majority of any kind of a political body meeting in private. It's against the law. It's you have a meeting, you can make a decision, and so. But we enjoyed it for those years. It was a great place to gather and have fun memories of our time. George joined us sometimes, but
you owe me for 2 days.
I still owe him for a couple of dailies. Okay, next one. There he is.
My younger brother.
Oh, pretty boy.
That's what politics does to you.
Where's the cigar?
That's what politics does to you. When I came on as a 28, 29-year-old, brand new, never had served in anything like that. I think I might have been one of the youngest council members ever in the city. While I had respect for the mayor, I followed the leader of George. He was basically the leader of the council. And he had a sense of innovation and a welcomingness that made it feel very comfortable. It made it feel that we were really in the right place at the right time, trying to do things that were in the best interests of Longview. And he stood for a number of interesting approaches. One of the things was it's okay to look for opportunities to privatize services. That's not a bad thing. But don't use it as a way to fire employees, because all that does is create angst and anger. And we did a privatization, the garbage collection system. Some of you will remember we had employees filing back injury claims because they were lifting the garbage cans and putting them in the old-fashioned garbage trucks. We put an end to that, but we honored their employment relationship with the city, and I think that is an important relationship to maintain. In fact, right now in the county, we are looking at some kind of a change in management, perhaps leasing the landfill, bringing in different management, but one of the requirements has got to be honor our employees. Give them a job if they want to stay with you, or we will find a place for them. But I think that's an important lesson George also always recommended work with the unions. Don't create them into being enemies. In fact, he would recommend supporting union officials getting leadership training, because good quality leaders are good quality leaders. And if they're in the union, they can actually get the unions to accept the agreements that are crafted later on. And again, lessons that I've learned and I've tried to model along the way. Okay, modeling enough?
Yeah, get that.
Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. Two of my other cohorts, you recognize the guy on the right. That is a more recent picture. He had more hair in those days. And Judy Baker also at the time. So the four of us were sort of this contingent that really shook up the Longview City Council, Longview City government. We met at the hotel. It took me, it was quite a few years until I realized that while we were talking and relaxing and sharing drinks, Tom and the senior city officials were at the old Paragon, right? Every night after the meetings, probably talking about us and saying, what in the crazy, what are they doing this time? How in the world do they think that what they're doing makes sense? But anyway, those were the four of us were pretty effective leaders. But in politics, nothing stays the same. Judy was the first one to leave the city council. She served 4 years, and she left and began championing athletic facilities, sports fields, primarily for women, soccer players and softball players. And it's now called 7th Avenue Park. She really spearheaded the volunteer efforts, and I know that this club sponsored one of the fields out there, and she was very, very active and involved in that. And of course, I don't need to talk too much about Hal Palmer because you know him very well, and his energy and his drive and his compassion for this community just continues to bring results. I think we're all better off. But you have to endure sailing, right? That's part of the requirements now to deal with Hal Palmer. He was the next one of our little merry band to leave, but he became a state senator, and back in the 1990s. Okay, next one. I took the oath of office in January 1980, and all during that previous fall, during the campaign, there was this huge ditch along the lake bank. As part of this water cleanup, the federal government gave us a whole bunch of money, clean water, to clean up Lake Sacagawea by digging a ditch that would intercept all the storm drains that took the water from the old west side and originally dumped it into the lake. And it now goes into a pipe that goes all the way down the length of Lake Sacagawea. At the north end it was opened up to the drainage ditch, and out at the Cowlitz River, there's an intake system by the water treatment plant to bring fresh water in. That's why we have such a fresh, sweet-smelling lake. Well, unfortunately, it was finished in April 1980. In the middle of May, the mountain blew and ruined the whole project. We could not get the fresh flow of water ever to work to the advantage the way it was specified. But we did get a dredge in there. There was a dredge that got a lot of the decayed matter out, and the water was crystal clear. They use a disc, a white disc, to check the clarity of the water. They lower it down, and it went all the way down to the bottom. It was absolutely amazing. And then we discovered the hazards of messing with Mother Nature, because the sunlight also penetrated to the very bottom, stimulated weed growth that we'd never had before, because it was too dirty to sustain weeds. And the weed clogged everything. We actually had a machine that harvested weeds and put big, wet, sloppy piles of weed clippings on the lake bank for later disposal. And finally, they convinced the state to let us have weed-eating carp that I think are still there. It's about time to dredge again in the next 10 years, because about every 40, 50 years it needs to be dredged. But that's for another council to have to worry about. Okay, next one. Oh, I have to wrap it up. We just talked about 7th Avenue Park. How about one more? Oh, we talked about that too. How about that? Mark, I wanted to mention Mark Haney. He was another member of the council, joined the council same time I did. He should have been mayor following George, but he took position with Longview Fiber Company in negotiating power contracts. I remember a little bit of a kerfuffle with him in the 80s when the PPA was beginning to raise power rates. And there was a conference of the mayors and political leaders in aluminum communities. And we were all being organized to lobby to keep the rates low for the BPA. And finally, Mark came up and crashed that party and said, Weber, I don't want you signing any letter that gives favorable treatment to the aluminum company because Longview Fiber has to pay the full rate. And it's not fair to have differing, favoring one company over another. Mark was an interesting character and played an important role in the Columbia Theater. Great thing. Well, the hook is about ready to come out. I want to leave a few minutes for some questions that you might have. Didn't get very far, but I hope you don't mind the stories I told. Stories about the city of Longview or Cowlitz County. Either one. Be glad to answer. I think we got about 4 or 5 minutes.
No, actually, we have to do winning tickets. But you will stay after to answer questions, right?
I can do that. We got to George's picture. That's really what I wanted to show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And a mug and an application in case you want to join us too.
Great. Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Okay, I have 2 more people that need to speak, and that Richie, did you want to come up now? Tickets?
President Cindy, fellow Lions, and guest, this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. As everybody knows, 3.5 years ago, my husband and I started doing the lunches for you. 3.5 years, can you believe it? Anyway, I am retiring. I will no longer be the manager here at the club. I am moving down to California to be with my family. So this is the last luncheon that I will be cooking for. I will be around for a couple of more weeks to help them where they need help, but I am finally retiring and I'm going to go be with my family, but I will miss every single one of you. I have made some fantastic friends through the Lions and just, I don't know how else to say, but thank you for being my friend. Bye, everybody.
Give him the right. Past President Maryland, I have something for you. Now that you have so much leisure, there's the last half of the videos. She already has the first half. And for the historian, we also have a copy of all the DVDs from this last year, so maybe they'll start a new scrapbook or something.
Okay, Andy, you want to do the tickets? Now go ahead.
Oh, you're going to leave that up to me, huh?
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. Leave it to Harvey. Okay, so red ticket, 498-2351. We got a winner. Is it Bob? Okay, Relay for Life, right? Okay, and then we got a blue ticket, 9960129.
All right.
All right, and then, what are you doing with that?
Yeah.
That's that?
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead and what? Get out of your way?
No, do the Joker. Who does the Joker?
I know, you do that.
No, he does that. You do that.
Oh,
Do
we're
that.
not done? All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Thank you. I want to thank Pat Palmer. I always do that. The boys are going to be twins. Pat Palmer for our business cards. That was very nice of you to provide those for us. And
Spelled correctly?
And we have tickets for the food for Relay for Life. Woo!
Louis #1 before Cindy got to be president.
Oh, we gotta do that. Leo time. Okay, people. So we have the Bill Pontius reporting that we're not doing the prescription bottles anymore. Greg Firth has got the concerts at the lake Thursday, the 13th at 5 p.m. Is that right? That's board meeting at Bob's Cafe, Bob Hall's Cafe, on Thursday at 7 a.m. Harold Malone has a golf tournament July 15th. He still needs a couple people to sign up. Darlene Mungeon has a Relay for Life bags available. Steve Patterson's having a meeting right over here after the meeting. Doug Harvey has a legacy meeting Thursday, or at the lake.
8:30 at the lake, it's a project.
8:30 at the lake, it's a project.
Bring your concrete boots and trowels.
Gary Hill has Camp Leo cleanup, that's July 20th. You signed up with him. I think that's everybody. So, I want to thank all of you for your time and all the effort you put into serving the community. We're done.